activities in foreign posts will continue until October 14th.
As with any planning, talagang may allowance talaga yan. Basically, what this means is we're gonna dip into that slack time. To do this for the benefit of the people who are asking for it. No, the public clamor again is really very loud.
The House and Senate have passed bills that would mandate COMELEC to grant a 1-month reprieve for last-minute registrants. The Senate even stalled on the poll body's 2022 budget proposal when Chairman Sharif Abbas said last week that the Commission can only allow a 1-week extension.
Huwag naman natin hintayin uli na kung saan yung deadline, doon na naman tayo magpaparehistro. So, para at least hindi rin tayo mahirapan.
Commissioner Rowena Guanzon adds, the longer time will allow more Filipinos to exercise their right to vote. Mall-based registration desks will remain an option in October, along with online reactivation for those previously registered but failed to vote in the last 2 elections. More than 63 million Filipinos can vote on May 9th. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
A party list group welcomes COMELEC's decision to extend the voter registration period, saying it is an opportunity for more young people to voice their concerns by participating in the elections. Our George Giles has that story.
Aina Perater and Angelique Del Rosario are among hundreds of last-minute registrants in this Quezon City mall. It will be their first time to possibly vote in 2022, such that beating the deadline on September 30th is a must. Perater has booked an appointment online, while Del Rosario takes a chance as a walk-in to line up as early as 1:30 in the morning.
As a millennial, alam naman po natin na mas malaki po yung tulong ng mga kabataan ngayon sa makapagboto. And then, yung masasabi ko lang siguro is vote wisely na lang po. Kasi diba, yung sistema ngayon parang medyo tafing kasi lalo na ngayon nagkaroon ng pandemic. So, siguro, importante talaga makaboto para kahit pa paano umayos yung sistema at saka malagpasan itong pandemic kasi sobrang tagal na ang hirap mag-aaral ng online.
Bowing to requests from a number of sectors, the COMELEC has extended the voter registration period for another 3 weeks until the end of October. And Del Rosario says she will convince friends and relatives to register and vote next year.
Yung iba ka pong kaibigan nagparehistro ngayon lang din, tapos yung iba yun, nagkaroon ng chance sa habol kasi na-extend naman po yung ano.
At the COMELEC office in Quezon City, a group carries out a symbolic action to express its thanks for the extended registration period. The group says the move will allow more people to exercise their right to choose their next set of leaders.
Tayo po ay nagpapasalamat sa COMELEC dahil nakinig sila sa panawagan ng kabataang Pilipino. Ilang linggo na po na hindi na mapigil, maputol ang napakahabang pila ng mga taong hindi natutulog para makarehistro.
We would like to request the public na since may possible na yung extension natin, you have to avail the extension. You can go to our nearest election offices or even malls na magparehistro tayo.
After September 30th, voter registration will resume on October 11 up to the 30th to give way for the filing of certificates of candidacy on October 1 to 8 for those running in the May elections. George Giles, CNN Philippines.
If elections were held earlier this month, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte would emerge as the country's new president, at least based on the latest Pulse Asia survey. The survey shows 20% or 2 out of 10 Filipino adults want Sara to succeed her father. Sara, however, has said she would not pursue the presidency after President Duterte declared his bid for the vice presidency. In a similar survey last June, Sara was also a top choice with 28%. Meanwhile, trailing the younger Duterte are former Senator Bongbong Marcos with 15%, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno with 13%, and Senator Manny Pacquiao with 12%. Marcos has yet to announce his political plans, while both Moreno and Pacquiao have launched their presidential bids. Sharing third place are Senator Grace Poe with 9%, Vice President Lenny Robredo with 8%, and Senator Ping Lacson with 6%. For Vice President, Senate President Tito Soto is the most preferred choice among 25% of the respondents, bumping President Duterte down to second place with 14%. Also in the second spot are Moreno and Marcos with 12% each. They are followed by Pacquiao and fellow Senator Bongo, who each secured 7%. This survey was conducted using face-to-face interviews from September 6th to 11th among 2,400 respondents nationwide. It is the end of the road for the Pambansang Kamao. Boxer turned Senator Manny Pacquiao hangs up his gloves after 26 years in the boxing limelight. Pacquiao's announcement ended speculations about his retirement. Just last week, the senator declared he is gunning for the presidency. He accepted the nomination to be the standard bearer of a faction of the ruling party, PDP Laban. Pacquiao is reportedly among those being eyed as a presidential bet under the opposition coalition, One Sambayan. Like other declarations, however, nothing is set in stone just yet until we see them filing their certificates of candidacy beginning Friday. Pacquiao was not hailed as the people's champ for nothing. His victories brought honor to the country and united Filipinos here at home and abroad. Our Pauline Versosa looks back on his amazing boxing journey.
It is difficult for me to accept that my time as a boxer is over. Today, I am announcing my retirement.
One of the greatest boxers of all time is hanging up his gloves. In a video statement entitled Goodbye Boxing, the 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao bid an emotional farewell following an illustrious career that spanned more than 2 decades. The people's champ walking away from the sport that made him a source of pride for the country as he sets his sights on his biggest fight yet in the coming 2022 presidential elections.
I will never forget what I have done and accomplished in my life. As I hang up my boxing gloves, I would like to thank the whole world, especially the Filipino people, for supporting Manny Pacquiao.
Just last August, Pacquiao absorbed a stunning defeat against Cuban fighter Yordenis Ugas in what has turned out to be his last dance. Despite the loss, the Pac-Man's legacy remains as the first and only boxer in history to win 12 major world titles across 8 different weight divisions, with a total record of 62 wins with 39 knockouts, 8 losses, and 2 draws. Once hailed as pound-for-pound king and among the highest-paid athletes in the world, Pacquiao has defeated world champions and legends, including Juan Manuel Marquez, Ricky Hatton, and Oscar de la Hoya. Fans all over the world thank Manny for his contributions to the sport, saying he will go down as a legend. In Metro Manila, streets would no longer go quiet on a Pacquiao fight day.
Ito papanahon na siguro kasi may edad na rin naman na siya eh. Para sa akin, okay na rin yun. Bakit sir? Marami siyang pera po. At saka marami na rin siya natulungan. Marami na rin siya are-are yan. Okay na rin yun. Kasi para sa kanya din yan.
Sa palagay ko po, hindi nakakayanin niya. Bukod sa nabago yung estilo niya, ay hindi nakakayanan ng kalusugan niya. Kaya po ang suggest ko sa kanya, magretiro na lang siya, ipagpatuloy kung gusto talaga siya sa politika.
Pacquiao already made the same decision to retire in 2016 when he was a senatorial aspirant, only to head back inside the ring months after. But Pacquiao says this is the time to support a great number of potential boxers who are younger and can also give glory to the country.
I just heard the final bell. Tapos na ang boxing. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Pauline Versosa, CNN Philippines.
Still ahead, a check on how netizens are reacting to Manny Pacquiao's retirement. We'll read some of the comments online. And the Octa Research Group says the country is beating the more ferocious Delta variant, citing a slowdown in cases. Details next here on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. An independent research group sees a glimmer of light in the battle against what it calls is the Delta wave. Octa Research tells CNN Philippines the end game for the more infectious Delta variant is within reach. The group notes a downward trend in infections in NCR Plus, composed of Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal.
This is definitely a trend in the entire country, because what we're seeing is that the reproduction number in the NCR has decreased to less than 1. It's actually around 0.94. And it's not just in the NCR, but also in Calabarzon and Central Luzon, where the reproduction number has actually decreased to less than 1. That includes Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Bulacan, etc. So the trend is definitely going down in these regions, and of course in Cebu City, in Cebu area, it's going down. There are some provinces where the trend is still increasing, and we should really take note of these provinces because these are areas of concern that we should be focusing on, and probably we need to allocate more vaccines to those regions.
Octa, however, notes that Metro Manila's healthcare utilization rate remains at high risk. Now, the alert level 4 restrictions here in Metro Manila will lapse tomorrow, but local chief executives are divided on whether or not to maintain the status quo. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte wants to extend the current measures for at least another week to make sure the downward trend in cases is sustained. Belmonte adds the city remains at high risk as hospitals are still full. San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora shares the same view.
Mas bumaba pa ito ng konti, no? Para talagang by the time we shift to alert level, handang-handa na tayo sapagkat hindi naman natin gusto na negosyo, industriya na nasa high risk masyado. No? So I would rather see first if we can further bring down the numbers, and then if and when that happens, dun siguro ako sasaayon na bumaba tayo sa alert level 3.
For the local chief executives of Mandaluyong and Navotas, the slowdown in cases means region is ready for more relaxed measures. Menchi Abelos and Toby Tiangco say lowering the alert level next month will also help the economy. Now, the National Vaccine Operations Center has yet to issue guidelines after the government green-lighted the inoculation of the rest of the adult population and those aged 12 to 17 next month. But the health department says minors with health risks will be prioritized. Kalin Bonkin has more.
Edna Bautista wants a COVID-19 vaccine for her 13-year-old daughter, Janelle. While adults in their household are fully vaccinated, Edna is worried for her children.
Para mayroon na rin po siyang proteksyon, kagaya po sa akin. Maganda pong nababakunahan na po kasi hindi po 100% na matatamaan na siya ng sakit.
Janelle has also decided to get the vaccine once available.
Pero kung makalabas na din ako, baka din pumawaan ako ng may mga sakit.
Almost 22% of the country's 110 million population got at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. With the expected 114 million vaccine doses coming by October to December, the government has decided to inoculate the general population and the younger group next month. But the health department says, considering the supply, the remaining unvaccinated adults and children at risk of getting severe infection are the priority. This means among the younger population, 12 to 17-year-olds with existing illness will get the vaccine first. The Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines will give a list of illnesses qualified for priority pediatric vaccination. And just like the inoculation of adults with comorbidity, there are requirements to prove that a child is sick.
Kailangan may medical clearances either from their attending physicians or their specialists. Maaari naman po yung doktor lang, yung doktor natin dun sa kanilang local area, pero magbibigay po tayo ng checklist.
May mga medical complexity, may mga heart, respiratory, kidney, at may mga iba-ibang problema.
Both parents and children should also agree to the vaccination.
Kailangan din po natin na may guardian sila kapag pupunta sila doon sa bakunahan.
Only Pfizer and Moderna are allowed for age 12 to 17 in the Philippines. Vaccination among the younger population is expected to begin on October 15 in Metro Manila. Other regions will follow after 2 weeks. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
The country now sits at the bottom of a study that measures economic resilience and response to the COVID-19 crisis. The Philippines ranked last out of 53 nations with a score of 40.2 in Bloomberg's latest COVID resilience ranking. Malacanang says it is not surprised that Southeast Asian countries place low, while developed nations ranked high in the list. The Palace points out that vaccines are key to defeating the virus and echoed the president's United Nations speech that rich countries are hoarding doses. The report comes after Senator Joel Villanueva's call to abolish the interagency task force, which leads the country's COVID-19 response. Villanueva says the IATF is, quote, not working and that local governments are doing better in response efforts. Now, the country may have been better prepared to deal with the pandemic had Congress passed a bill filed by the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago 8 years ago. That's what her widower and former Undersecretary June Santiago believes. The late senator filed the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act in 2013 in the wake of the MERS-CoV outbreak in the Middle East. June Santiago believes things might have been different if the senator was still alive. Today is the 5th anniversary of the late senator, dubbed as the Iron Lady of Asia.
Sayang nga yung bill niya sa pandemic, hindi na-pass noon kung hindi pinakinabangan ng husto ng bayan yung bill niya sa pandemic. Nakapagprepara sana ang bansa at mga tao para dito sa ganitong klaseng problema. Pero hindi napasa ng Congress yun, iba-ibang inasikaso, pero sayang.
Family and friends remember the late senator in an intimate gathering earlier today. She died of cancer in 2016. A lawyer representing an official of government medical supplier Pharmaly Pharmaceuticals considers filing charges against Senator Risa Ontiveros and two of her staff. In a Senate hearing last week, Ontiveros presented a witness who was supposedly a Pharmaly warehouse personnel who claimed that the firm's face shields were tampered and substandard. Lawyer Ferdinand Topacio says the senator's staff bribed the witness to make those allegations. Topacio adds that in a video sent by Pharmaly, another warehouse worker denied the witness's claims. Topacio says he and his team vetted the worker and obtained his affidavit.
Next step po namin dito, this is not just for publicity purposes, but in the next few days, we will try to develop a case and bring it before the proper government agency. Since Senator Ontiveros is a public official, baka sa ombudsman or kung ang jurisdiction ay sa Department of Justice, we will bring it there for proper disposition.
Coming up on Newsnight, a global boxing legend announced that he's taking the gloves off for good, focus on the 2022 elections. And today, we remember to check in on matters of the heart, health-wise. Details on this after a quick break.
For almost 4 decades, U.S. and Philippine Marines have been holding joint war games, except last year due to the pandemic.
And now, look at us. We are doing this in a very low-key manner.
The war games resumed this year with lesser participants and even empty tables during Tuesday's opening. Because of COVID restrictions and quarantine mandates, forces had to be drastically reduced. The U.S., which used to send troops by the hundreds, now down to just a dozen, with the bulk of their service members joining remotely from Japan.
The scope of the exercise remains large, remains significant, but it just looks different than it has in the past.
Except for an activity in Cagayan Valley, almost all of the drills will be done virtually, a sharp contrast to previous field exercises that involved live fire and military vehicles.
We must be able to outmaneuver our enemies in the same vein that we shall be able to maneuver this virus and still be able to continue to train, because we have a big responsibility in terms of defense and security of our people.
Meanwhile, 3 Australian Navy ships are in Manila for a port visit that ends Wednesday. Dubbed as Indo-Pacific Endeavour, it's Australia's way of boosting defense ties in the region, tackling maritime security and disaster response. The Australian government also handing over protective equipment to the Philippine Armed Forces to support its fight against COVID-19. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Back to one of our top stories. 42-year-old senator and boxing champion Manny Pacquiao announcing he is stepping out of the ring, and he's getting tributes from all over the sports world. Quoting Pacquiao's tweet that reveals his retirement, Yordenis Ugas regarded him as a legend. The Cuban athlete was his last opponent before saying goodbye to the sport. Pacquiao failed to regain his super welterweight belt from Ugas following a unanimous decision loss on August 21. The World Boxing Association also recognized Pacquiao for his contribution to the sport, as its president posted a tweet in gratitude. Just a few hours before this, Gilberto Mendoza tweeted about how the People's Champ was named the WBA Centennial Champion. Pacquiao is the first recipient of this honor. Other personalities overseas paid tribute to Pacquiao on Twitter. The Fox 59 News anchor wished him luck while predicting that the boxer turned politician would soon be leading the country. But while some netizens support Pacquiao's decision, others doubt if his move is final, or if his decision is final, as he may return to the sport if he loses the presidential race in 2022. Some social media users also question his capability to seek the highest office in the country. A magazine reality show is returning to bring science and research closer to Filipinos. The Science and Technology Department is relaunching its television program, CNCCAT. That is after the show found a new home here on CNN Philippines. CNCCAT was launched in 2019 but was put on hold when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. DOST officials and CNN Philippines President Benji Ramos made it official during the contract signing Wednesday afternoon. DOST STII Director Richard Burgos and CNCCAT co-host Diego Ramos share what viewers can expect from the show.
Well, it's different because we have a wisher, all right, and that wisher can be anyone. And people can relate to the wisher in many ways. We'll expect more people to appreciate what science can do to very concrete persons who are our wishers, and how science can help them improve their lives, or if it's a company, then improve their processes and also their income potential.
It gave me a larger perspective of how and what science really can do to the lives of people. Marami pong tao sa iba't ibang lugar ng Pilipinas na marami pong ideas na magaganda na talaga pong pwede makabago ng buhay nila mismo at ng buhay po ng ibang tao.
CNCCAT will air on CNN Philippines this October. The Beatle, who sang "With a Little Help from My Friends," got just that for his latest music video. CNN's David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Ringo Starr's video for the latest single off his EP, Change the World, features Kids in the Spotlight, a non-profit that helps foster care youth tell their stories through film. The kids also helped develop the concept for the video and assisted in the directing, lighting, choreography, and other areas. Zac Brown Band's The Comeback Tour is on hold after Brown tested positive for COVID-19. Brown broke the news on social media, saying he's putting the health and safety of our fans and crew first. He thanked the fans and frontline workers and promised the band will resume the tour as soon as it's safe.
We always do get through it, and we're going to get through it again. Tornado! Everybody out! Tornado! Follow me this way. Everybody hurry! Are you sure this is the safest place to be?
Here's your first look at 13 minutes. That's how long people in a heartland town have to find shelter when a tornado hits their community. 13 Minutes lands in theaters October 29th, on VOD November 19th, and DVD December 7th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, today we look into matters of the heart. Data from the World Health Organization show that illnesses surrounding this muscular organ are responsible for over 17 million deaths every year around the world. And here in the Philippines, the first half of the year saw more than 56,000 lives taken because of these diseases. On World Heart Day, it might be a good idea to have a change of heart over some of your daily habits. Try working out more and reducing stress to keep that beat in your chest in check. It is 87 more days before Christmas, and that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 for News.ph. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.